Hi Mike, welcome back to our session 2 of our videos on Teams.
Session 2, motoring along, Lizzie.
I know.
Absolutely motoring along.
Such
what are
naturals.
we covering? Yeah, some might say. Not sure what the audience might say about that. What are we covering off today?
So today our video is going to be all around like the communication side of it. So hopefully we're going to look into like the chat, the calls, and about like video and conference calling.
Okay,
Sound
cool.
good? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Where should we start?
To start off with, like, obviously now we're in a call to film this. Let's go back a bit and go about how you would schedule the call with someone.
Yep, fine. So what I'll do is I'll share my screen quickly, which is one of the features that is very useful. So hopefully, Lizzie, you can now see my.
Yeah, I can.
I guess the chat function, the video functionality, the calling functionality will be the sort of thing that in the current working from home scenario, particularly for people that are new to using Teams, is the sort of thing that's going to be used pretty frequently. Scheduling meetings, making phone calls, via a soft client, which is what effectively Teams is acting as, is going to be used pretty frequently. Teams gives you a bunch of nice functionality out of the box. I mean, I'm screen sharing at the moment. I can stop sharing, but that gives me the option to share my entire desktop. So at the moment, I'm sharing my entire desktop. I can go to my Outlook client, so you can see that. I can come back to Teams, or I can lock that down. So I'm just sharing a PowerPoint presentation. So a particular file on my desktop, I can share and only share that with you. So that's quite handy if we're in this setting, and again we're collaborating, and a nice little feature. To schedule a meeting with somebody, you've got a couple of ways of doing that, and it depends on your preferences and where you are. So you can schedule a meeting via your calendar option in Teams, and you can create a new meeting or join a new meeting via this function. Or you can schedule a new meeting via the Outlook client. So if I wanted to create a meeting on the 6th, I could do that. I'd click on Teams meeting. It would auto populate with the Teams information there, so the login link and number. I can then invite whoever I want to, both internal and external. Now, the person I'm inviting doesn't actually have to be a Teams user. So they don't have to be using Teams if they're outside of your organization to be able to join a Teams call. They can dial in using a dial-in, so they can be on their mobile, landline, or if they click on the link, it will launch a sort of Teams mobile client, or Teams web client rather, which enables them to join. So several ways with which to schedule a meeting within here. You've also got this functionality here. You can also just say meet now, so start a private meeting immediately and then start inviting people into that. That's another option. Or if it's not a case of I need to schedule a meeting in and I just want to call somebody, I've got a question to answer, I need an answer to, and I just want to call somebody, I can do that in several ways. But if I go down to calls, I will add various people from internal and externally from here. I can see who's available, so the sort of RAG status of available, not available, and somebody that's away or been inactive for a period of time. These again use your meetings that are scheduled in your Outlook diary as a means of kind of assessing availability, and again I can just give them a call or a video call just via their contact information. I can set groups within here as well if I want to. So within my contacts, I can say create a new group. Let's say it's for a particular client. Create new group, and I can start adding contacts to that particular group if I want to. Add contacts to this group, or I can drag and drop them in. So there's several ways in which I can either instigate a conversation with somebody or schedule a meeting which makes life easy.
Yeah, and then when you're like in the call, what different kind of functionalities do you have that you can use to like help with the call?
There's a bunch. I mean, we're sharing the screen at the moment, obviously, and that's useful if I want to share certain documents. Again, I can either share my entire desktop, so we can collaborate on a document together, or review a document together, or review a presentation. Or I can share a particular file. There's also a whiteboarding functionality within here, which can be for some people quite handy. We're currently recording this call as a means of kind of playback. So, if this was a pre-recorded training session or a webinar or a team meeting that you actually wanted to record and have a note of, you've got the ability to record this. Also, something they've added recently, if this was a video call, I'll just show this real quick. They had this kind of idea of blurred backgrounds, but now they've got this kind of neat kind of feature where I can, if I want to, be on a beach. So if I now switch on,
although they're still at home.
Exactly. If I turn my video on now, I'm in a beach somewhere.
Lovely.
Or I could be in a locker room, which for most would be a bit unnerving. Or you could have nothing at all and just switch that off. So you've got some background options there as opposed to just making it blurry. So if you are in your bedroom and you've not made your bed, then you've got some options to kind of hide that.
Hide the mess behind you.
Not that I'm saying that's where I am, but that is an option. The other neat thing about this, and it's potentially an underutilized function. We can start having a conversation within here if we want to, by way of I can start communicating with you and other people that's within our conversation, and you'd start to receive that.
Yeah.
The other thing I really like about, as you say, thanks. The other thing I really like about this is the ability to kind of make notes that are specific to your meeting. So if we'd agreed a bunch of actions between us using the app functionality, anybody that's on this call that will save. It might be that you can create different headings around this.
And I got a notification because you've added me as well.
Come through, and it might be that there's people that are not on the call that you want to include within this. But it's a useful way of, in the same notion that with Teams, one of the benefits was you could keep information central to a department or subject matter, as opposed to having rifling through notes or emails to find particular documents. If you know that every week you have a recurring meeting, or that you had a call last time, and what did we agree on that call? Who owned what action? It's a decent way on the call of just finalising and agreeing upon the actions that were taken. Even if you've got a different method of recording those actions elsewhere, it's quite a useful kind of method of recording minutes and actions. Once we finish with this call, if you look up into the kind of chat and the recent functionality, if I go into our call here, we can see the conversation. This will be stored, and I can go to meeting notes. Again, I can continue to edit those if I want to, and continue looking at those. So that I think is an underutilized function from a call and meeting standpoint, which actually adds a lot of value to the way that Teams operates, because you've now got centralized indexing of information in relation to a call that you just had, and you can use that meeting notes for anything. It could be your internal notes, frankly, that you're prepared to share with other people, or indeed it could be clear, very structured meeting notes, minutes, and actions. Yeah,
that's good. That is like saves after as well, that you can go back to them. With the meetings, is there a limit on like the max people you can have in there? or like in your team?
Yeah, so 250, I believe, is the limit on number of people that can join a call. One of the recent criticisms of Teams is that if you're on a video call, it only gives you four windows. So you can only see 4 people at any one point, and the microphones that are on or the people that are talking will be prominent on screen at any one point. I think they've increased that to 9. And that's imminent. I think the release of that function, which will help. But it's a maximum of 250. There is, I think, virtual Teams events or something like that, which is a different product, which gives you the ability to present to up to 10,000. But I think the number of occasions that's going to happen is going to be in its minority.
Yeah. I don't have any more questions about the calls.
Cool.
Do you think you've covered everything?
I think the only other thing to kind of revert back to is chat. Obviously, with Skype being sort of integrated, Skype's still available. A lot of people are still using Skype. Eventually, it will be kind of completely merged into Contacts, or rather Teams, and you can instigate a chat via your Contacts. And just start chatting away based upon what you want to talk to them about. Again, I find it immensely useful that I can see what people's availability is. If they're away, I know that I can ping them an IM. They'll pick it out when they're back, but I might be waiting a little while. The same if they're in a meeting, I can just ping them a note to say, give us a call when you're off your meeting, or just ask a simple question. So a lot of people are going to be pretty familiar with the chat functionality, instigating that via Contacts, or if you go back to your recent conversations, you can reinstigate a chat from previous. It's great that it saves the history in here, both of individual conversations, but also group meetings or group calls that you've had. You can differentiate by whether that's a calendar invite or just an individual that you've been chatting to.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
Cool.
Do you have any more?
I don't think so. The beauty with Teams is it's nicely integrated together. So, not only have you got, there's some repetition in terms of functionality. So there's a chat or a news feed function more or less in every element of this. You can collaborate on a history of notes. You can also share specific files as well, just in an individual conversation, which can sometimes be quite helpful. But I think that kind of covers the basics. For those people that have started to use Yammer, there is now the ability to integrate Yammer into Teams as well, and have that as kind of a communities button down here, which we've just today released a short blog on how to do that. So it's worth checking that out as well if you use Yammer as part of your internal comms. Yeah,
because that just links it even more all together, doesn't it?
It just means that you're kind of not switching between multiple platforms. It means you can use, if people are already using Yammer have adopted it in a fairly big way, and that's a big part of staying in touch with people and collaborating. It can now be sort of merged into the Teams platform, which means if you've got Teams open, you're not switching between platforms. You can do the things you need to do. There'll be some overlap in functionality between how people want to use Teams and Yammer. But that's again a topic in of itself.
That's another video for us.
Well, maybe. Cool. We'll adjourn then. Thanks.
Thank you for that, Mike.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you.
Speak to you soon.
Yeah, bye.